All right, so we have Jake Messer with us today. Hi, Jake. Thank you for joining me. And we're gonna talk about site speeds. We briefly discussed it. It looks like this is something you've been working on a lot recently. So you have a lot of cool info that can be actionable for car dealers to implement right away. So to start with, Jake, what's your background? Where do you come into this?
Yeah, so thanks, Miko. I appreciate it. So my name's Jake Messer. I'm based here in the Kansas City region for Toyota, and my background is, I'm a car dealer myself. So I started selling used cars, was a BDC manager and a used car manager before I transitioned to the vendor side, where I worked for Dealer.com under Cox Automotive, and then finally started working for a startup building digital retailing software. So I come into this, we just released that Q4 study, Shift Digital did as a whole, talking about site speed and its impact on users and how they're engaging with websites and converting. And that got me thinking, that there's a little bit more to website performance overall in Google's eyes than just how quickly a website loads due to just how complicated they've gotten over the years. So I built out the tool based on my past experience in software that automatically pulls this data on a daily basis for all Toyota dealerships across the country. And, it gave us a kind of deep insight into, true performance and, how that web performance impacts websites, how customers are interacting with it, and even SEO rankings at the end of the day.
Awesome. Okay, so we're diving straight into it. So can you define, like in simpler terms, site speed is just like how fast the website opens on basic level, but what's beyond it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know a lot of people, vendors and, industry leaders are always going to, hinge on site speed. That's kind of the easy thing to say of just how fast that website loads. But in Google's eyes, it's a little bit more complicated than that. And they use something called Core Web Vitals. Really, the basics is there's three levels of Core Web Vitals. You either pass, you're close to passing, or you're in the poor performance category, meaning you're kind of at the bottom of the list when it comes to ranking all the websites that Google is collecting data on. And that's called the Chrome user experience. So this isn't lab data or anything like that. This is actual people coming to your website and how they're experiencing the content load in real time.
Okay, so why is this important? Can you define like main reasons why you know why can't I have beautiful website? Yeah, maybe it loads a little bit longer, but it's awesome, right? It's got GIFs and GIFs and everything.
Yeah, so I think, in automotive, we can still have absolutely gorgeous websites with drone footage and everything like that. So to me, when I'm talking to dealers, I'm not saying that, have the most basic website or anything like that. It's really a balance of the content you have and how it's optimized. So can we have video? Yes, absolutely. But when we're putting that video on the website, we just need to ensure that we're loading it in a way that's going to be optimized for loading on the website. So again, we're not tech people at the end of the day. It's kind of on the website provider for them to be setting this up. But I have plenty of examples, even from your region, of dealers who are using these gorgeous drone shots that have, the best performing website in your region compared to other dealers who are just using static images or like slideshows that are honestly the worst performing. So it's kind of shocking to see. But I don't want to sit here and say, hey, don't use videos. No, we can absolutely use videos. Just a matter of how it's being deployed on the website.
Okay, so we already talked a little bit about user experience, right? That's the main reason we want it to be good, so the customers are happy with their experience. But I think you mentioned or we discussed before, Google ranks it, Google measures the performance. What do they do? How does it affect the dealer if the performance is not great?
Yeah, so Google, their kind of ranking methodology or algorithm, it's in a black box. It's a little bit of a mystery, and we can only know or see so much. But we do know that the website performance does play a critical role in how your website ranks organically. So when that customer's typing in that keyword, Toyota dealership near me or 2025 Camry for sale, part of your website's performance is playing into that to see how you rank in comparison to your competition at the end of the day. So I'm not saying that go out and completely optimize your website, but there is going to be a slight advantage to those dealers who are passing the core Web Vitals performance metrics. And I have the data right here that shows that this is absolutely true at the end of the day.
So what you're saying is that it makes a difference in Google SEO, and like we both of us probably see dealers that spend thousands of dollars marketing budgets on SEO, whatever it's supposed to do for them. But if their website is not performing well, that might be just wasted money.
Yeah, absolutely. So is it still helpful to be investing in SEO at the end of the day? Yes, absolutely. But if your website is performing poorly, you are absolutely going to rank less keywords in top positions than someone who is maybe investing less or not investing at all on the SEO side and who has a better performing website.
Okay, cool. So you said you have a couple of examples. Do you want to start where we'll take a look at them and share it?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me pull up my screen here. And like I said, this is from your region, so probably some familiar faces here. So I just pulled the best and the worst. So whoever had the best scores for their core Web Vitals and whoever had the worst scores for their core Web Vitals. Now, real quick question. I want to make sure that you can see Toyota of Vallejo here on my screen.
Yep.
So
Works fine. We see the landing page.
awesome. So you can see gorgeous drone shot like I was talking about. The website's great. It has the quick CTAs there to drive into the profit centers, as everyone recommends, really. And this is the best performing website in the San Francisco region right now. I think current load time on it is 1.6 seconds or something like that. So well below Google's recommendation of loading in under 2.5 seconds. By a fair margin, I would argue. So the argument of needing less content means faster load. This absolutely disproves that right out of the gate. So this website's very well optimized, and they have gorgeous content on here. So I know the question's always going to be, how do we know or have access to this information? It's free information that's out there on the web. You can go to any website and test it. The only thing you have to do first is go to pagespeed.web.dev, and that's the Google site performance tool. So when I copy and paste in that URL, it's going to immediately pull up the Chrome user experience. So that core Web Vital is the real world user feedback that Google is collecting. So you can see mostly everything there is in the green. We don't really need to get into the nitty gritty of what each individual one does, but it's pretty simple. If you're all green or you get some green and yellow, you're doing pretty good, no sweat. But if you start seeing a lot of yellow and red, it's something to start looking into. I will say Google is pretty strict on giving a passing or failing score. So essentially, if you're not within their confines of their definition of a good performing metric, you just fail out of the gates. So, we have these 5 metrics here that they're measuring, and one is just barely outside of their confines for that metric. And so technically this website fails, but I would argue that this is a very good performing website overall. Now,
okay, beautiful. Okay, and what's the other one?
Yeah, so something to mention here real quick on this is, you see this performance score down here of 27. This is the lab data. So this is clean data. This isn't user data. It's, ran on a server. So this data is more helpful for us in troubleshooting and diagnosing where we're having loading issues at. So are there areas of opportunity to further increase this website's performance? Yeah, absolutely. But it's probably just not going to have a major impact to the user data at the end of the day. So just kind of food for thought there. So like I said, Toyota Vallejo, best performing website in the region. And a beautiful website, obviously. So next one, Putnam Toyota, not to pick on anyone, but they did rank the lowest in the region for performance wise. I think they had a pretty low loading speed overall, and you look at it, you don't really see anything here that would indicate that it would be slow or poor performing. It's pretty basic content. You got your sliders, and you got some quick actions for clicking on vehicles, and the profit center and map. Pretty simple. But when we do the same thing and go over to that page speed insights, you start seeing a lot of red and yellow. So that's where this kind of second area comes into play, and we can start investigating what's really having a negative impact on the overall website load. And what this is telling us is those sliders are having an impact on that. So can you have sliders on your website? Yes, absolutely. But it's just a matter of making sure that the content is optimized. And what I mean by that is that you're not loading those images that are going to be the full size. So we don't have any 100 MB images or 1 GB videos being loaded on the website. Those are getting compressed before we load those on there. That way we're ensuring that it's the smallest file size possible to allow it to load the quickest for that user as they experience it at the end of the day.
Okay, and it looks like this is the mobile part. You can switch to desktop, and the numbers will be, you think, similar, same, different?
It kind of depends. I've seen it go kind of all over the map from mobile to desktop, and for the most part, based on the data I've pulled, oddly enough, desktop actually performs better than mobile does in both the lab data and the user data itself. I don't know if there's really a rhyme or reason to that other than, maybe the website providers are optimizing for the desktop experience just because, as a dealer, I'm using the desktop experience on a daily basis. But we forget that typically 60 to 70% of our traffic is coming from our customers' mobile devices.
Right.
So we can talk about desktop, we can optimize desktop, that's fine and dandy, but I'm always going to have a high focus on mobile, and that's really all I'm going to talk about when it comes to website performance. Because if we're optimizing mobile, it's going to trickle down to the desktop side as well.
Okay, makes sense. All right. So, okay, that's great. So let's talk about actions, right? So looks like if a dealer is concerned, if I'm a dealer and I want to make sure that my website is okay, or if I'm getting complaints, because we do hear it sometimes from dealers, oh, the website's taking forever to load, but we don't know, is it internet speed? Is it Wi-Fi? Right? It could be a lot of different things. So to start with, this is a good source to check your own website, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay.
it's kind of one of those ad hoc health checks, if you will, that you can punch in real quick just to see how you stand. And if you're seeing these red items pop up, it's absolutely time to kind of get in contact with your website provider and say, hey, what can we do to make this better? Say, hey, I like the content that's on my website right now. I don't want to change anything, but how can we optimize it? And that's where, like I said, this lab data area plays a huge part in that. So just making sure that there's no old scripts hanging out. Maybe there's some scripts from tools that aren't on there anymore, or GTM codes from old advertising partners that can be removed that help free up a little bit of loading space overall for the website.
Right. So when we're trying to do the layout of what we're going to talk about, we discussed three things as what dealer can pay attention to, right? Or mention to their provider that they want to check and fix, right? So one, you said type of content. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So content type, just like I said, you can still have videos, you can still have images, but how are we loading that content up there? So ensuring that our content is optimized out of the gate, we're using good compression to get that loaded, and then ensuring once it's loaded on there that if we have a video, maybe we're doing lazy loading or something like that. Again, we don't have to get into the technical nitty gritty of this. We can kind of rely on our website provider to help us ensure that the content we are placing on the website is optimized and it's being placed in an optimized fashion. And then just ensuring that we don't have any old outdated content on here. So meaning tools, we don't have old scripts for chat tools, or maybe we have 13 GTM tags from, old advertising partners, that can absolutely slow down your website significantly. So those are really the three things, just, focusing on the type of content you're loading, ensuring that it's optimized, and then just doing a maybe quarterly or even, every 6-month audit to ensure you don't have any old tools or scripts still on the website.
Okay, so let's say I'm a dealer, obviously clear from this conversation. I don't really understand much into this. And by your suggestion, I check my site speed, it's bad. I'm calling my website provider. I have my account manager who may or may not also have a lot of knowledge about this because they're account managers. They're not, maybe not really software people. So what's the conversation I'm having with them? I'm telling them what, like, let's make sure that I have good content, that it's optimized, and let's check every single link, or what will be the conversation?
Yeah, it's basically there. I mean, the page speed insights tool is a great starting point of saying, hey, I was just running this to see, how I compare to my competition in the area, and I noticed that it's underperforming in Google's eyes for my core web vitals. So just saying, hey, where can we start to start improving this? It's not going to be a today thing. It's kind of like SEO, where it's a long game plan to optimize everything and get speed up. And then even when you do get your site optimized and you're passing core web vitals, it's not going to have an immediate night and day impact on, just selling more cars or anything like that. It's going to be a slow roll of, you'll start seeing, more time on site, more website engagement and conversions, and overall your SEO efficiency, or how many keywords you rank in top positions, will slowly start to go up. And if you're tracking that, or you're paying for SEO, that SEO agency will be able to help you track that as well, to see what that impact was that optimizing your website had for trying to get to that core web vitals assessment of being passed instead of failed at the end of the day.
Okay, great. So then I have a question that's follow up from the video we did with Chris. Uh, Chris Richter, another consultant on our team, he highly recommended for dealers to have landing pages for specific models.
Sure.
What do you feel about this, and how does it feed? Is it going to help site speed? Is it not even in the same category? Is it a good thing?
Yeah, so even when we're talking about SEO specific landing pages, site speed plays into those. We're only pulling the homepage right now. That's what most dealers are going to rank for. But say we do want to build out those model specific landing pages. Again, you can put that full URL in here to see how it's loading. I'm always a big advocate of kind of evergreen model landing pages. Everyone has a different opinion on it when it comes to SEO strategy. But, I tell my dealers, hey, when you have that 2025 model, we're getting ready to have 2026s come out. I'm going to put a redirect on that old model page and push it to the new one, assuming I'm out of, that old model year, and start having that value that page has built over time flow to the new page immediately. And then as I'm building out content on that model specific landing page, I'm going to kind of punch it in here to this page speed insights tool, just to ensure that I'm not super content heavy. Everything's optimized and it's going to be passing core web vitals. That way, out of the gate, it's going to be ranking better than someone else's website that is not optimized like my own is. So that will absolutely help SEO at the end of the day, outside of just general content and making sure we have good copy on the page.
Okay, so what you're saying that it is a good idea. It's positive to have model landing pages, but on the other hand, it's just as important to have it tested and make sure that your provider built it the right way. It's not too heavy. It loads fast.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, makes sense. Anything else you want to add on the subject? Anything that'll be important for a dealer to pay attention to?
Yeah, just real quick numbers, I think is helpful to kind of put some teeth to this. So with all the data I did to pull this together for this case study, what I saw between the kind of top performing dealers in a region and the worst performing dealers in a region is it was a pretty significant lift on customer engagement. So it was about a 24% increase in time on site between those two dealers. They had a over 25% increase in action rate. So, how those customers are clicking to call, all that fun stuff. And then SEO efficiency, like I was talking about earlier, what we saw was a 12% lift in the number of keywords that were ranking in top positions. So again, this is, not hard work, but not easy work. But if you put in the effort to improving your core web vitals, you're going to see a lift somewhere with your website performance overall.
Yeah. So, right. I agree with you. It sounds maybe complicated, but there's just no excuse for general managers just not to pay attention for it, because it's a free way. It's something that will save you money, will improve your performance, will improve everything without a lot of investment. It's some time investment, and you either have somebody on your team that should be in charge of it, or if you pay in a marketing agency that's taking care of all of that for you, really should hold them accountable to make sure that they're actually doing their job.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just making sure that the money that you're investing at the end of the day is getting the maximum usage out of it.
Cool. All right. Well, Jake, thank you so much. That was great. Yeah, like and subscribe, as the kids say these days. Thank you.
Thanks, Miko.